on mute. So Padmanama Nityananda Prabhu, he's going to put everyone on mute now. And we're here, then the room, our virtual room will become quiet. You done?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so now it's a bit more quiet. So just keep in mind, if you'd like to ask a question, I will open for questions. This is presented in like a PowerPoint presentation. So before we change to the next slide, there'll be opportunity to ask questions. If you have anything that wants to be clarified or any questions you may have, then you just press unmute. And then I'll be able to ask question. Hopefully that's clear for everyone. Yeah. And this originally, you see the first slide here, how to improve our chanting. This was Padmanabha Nityananda Prabhu's idea of the title, because this is, originally the title is the process of Nama Bhajana. So it's a process of meditation in regards to chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And it came about generally how I study. When I study with the mind of presenting. So I generally, when I'm inspired to study a certain subject, then I will put it into a PowerPoint presentation. It helps me to study as if I'm going to share. So I did this with this particular chapter, as you see here, and it's based on a book by His Holiness Sivarama Swami, and it's chapter 36, which is of all the volumes, if you know of the Nama Vraja Mahima, and this is volume 8. So it's taken from there, and that in turn, Sivarama Swami Maharaj has taken part of this study from the Ishopanishad text 8. So you can read it in your own time afterwards. So the process of Nama Bhajana, this is a form, it's approaching the Maha Mantra as a form of meditation. And specifically with the Maha Mantra, it's a meditation that takes us from the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness to our eternal service to Krishna. Now this all goes on within the chanting of the Maha Mantra. So this is a form of what's known as Nam Sankirtan, which is japa, and all devotees are familiar with this. Obviously, hopefully, we're all chanting the holy name. So this presentation is going to, it may sound strange, but this presentation is going to immediately tell you about the highest accomplishments in chanting the Maha Mantra, in perfected chanting. So in that sense, it's going to hopefully inspire us to chant the holy name nicely. In other words, we're going to be describing about the fruits of chanting, or the fruits of attentive chanting. So I'm mentioning that because what we're presenting in here may not be applicable to us at the present moment in time. We may be chanting still with offense. But so before this is applicable, before this type of meditation is applicable, we have to be chanting without offense. Now, this is chapter 36 we're studying of the Nama Vraja Mahima. Chapter 37 is about offenses to chanting. So that's part 2 of this presentation. So I speak to Padmanabha Nityananda Prabhu, and we might do this part 2 next week, which covers offenses. So any questions out there? Anything has to be clarified? Yes, hopefully it's clear. The original title of this is the process of Nama Bhajana. So we're going to be looking at the different levels of meditation by accomplished devotees. So hopefully this will inspire us in our chanting. So that's why it's called How to Improve Our Chanting. So I can't hear anything out there, so I presume there's no question. Please don't feel shy to ask a question. I think there's a option as well. You can also type your questions out if that's better for you. And then I can see those questions. So we'll continue then. So the question might arise then, how can we know when we're ready for this type of meditation that we're going to present? Well, one of the good ways to know if we're ready is if we can chant 16 rounds without effort. If we can sit down and hear the holy name without the mind wandering here and there. That's what we should be aiming for, perhaps at our stage. That should be our goal. We want to come to the point where we can sit down and happily chant 16 rounds and be absorbed. Generally, at our stage, it may be a war when we sit down, trying to control our mind and senses. So then we may not be qualified for further absorption, which is mentioned here. So, first stage, to sit down and be able to chant with attention. So 16 rounds. Now that may be an obstacle to some devotees who are working, they have children, etc., where you don't even get an opportunity to sit down for 2 hours. You may chant 4 rounds in the morning, 4 rounds in the afternoon, etc., like that. But still, those 4 rounds that you sit down, you should practice, or 5 rounds, or 8 rounds. You should practice. You want to come to the goal of being able to sit down ideally. That's always best. It helps for meditation. If you have to walk around, fine, but you should want to, at least those 4 rounds, you want to be absorbed in those 4 rounds. And as soon as you get an opportunity, as soon as the opportunity rises, you should take it as like a test to see where you stand in your chanting. Okay, now the kids have gone away, or whatever, the husband's gone away, or whatever, and the situation arises, you may be on a japa retreat, and okay, now I'm going to try and chant 16 rounds without the mind wandering. Now, it's a big job. We know the mind is very disturbed, but this is the goal of our life, is to bring the mind under the control of the holy name, so to speak. So we won't speak so much on this because this will come in part 2 when we're speaking about offenses to the holy name. But at least I just thought I'd touch on this for now. For example, one thing we might want to try in chanting when we sit down and chant, we won't elaborate too much, but put your phone away. Yeah. We're addicted to looking at these phones, you know. So especially when we're chanting, we should put the phone in the drawer, turn it off, put it away. We should do things which is going to help us to be attentive. And we should be looking for things which is going to help, which will stop us being attentive. Also, it comes to mind as well, I will mention it here now as well as later on in part 2, is that when we sit down and try and meditate upon the holy name, inevitably thoughts and impressions from the previous day, from the previous week, or even the previous lifetime, but let's say for now, from the previous day, it's going to come to mind. So in other words, if we want to perfect chanting, we've got to clean our act up and make sure that we're not putting nonsense into the mind as far as possible. We're trying to keep the mind absorbed in Krishna conscious activities. If we're reading or getting absorbed in the details of non-devotional activities to large degree than we may have experienced ourselves. I mean, sometimes, when I've, like, just for instance, this coronavirus thing, I suppose, we're all looking at the news, and when we sit down to chant, all these things are coming up in the mind, rather than, well, it makes it hard to chant the holy name. But I think you get the idea. We should do, if we want to chant good japa, we should try and create a good space for ourselves. Yeah, so that includes the whole culture of Krishna consciousness, eating prasadam, associating nicely with devotees, trying to keep our mind absorbed in Krishna conscious topics. Okay, so someone's drawing on the slide here. I don't know whether that was me, I don't know. But any questions before we go any further?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay. Please again, don't forget.
Prabhu, we cannot see anything. No slides.
You can't see anything.
No.
Is that the same with everybody else?
No, just the initial slide, Prabhu. Is that all you have?
Yeah,
we can see the slide.
So
most people can see the first slide, but Prabhuji hasn't started moving on to the next slide yet.
I haven't moved to slide 2 yet.
Okay, then it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Padma Machte, I can recognize your voice there. Hare Krishna. Okay,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So someone's writing on, or at least it's come up on my screen, someone's drawing lines over Prabhupada. Can everyone else see that?
Yes, I can.
So who's doing that out there? Please, can you stop doing it?
Yeah, there are blue lines and black lines here.
Yeah, blue lines and black lines. So perhaps someone's child has got hold of something. Anyway, let's move on to the next slide. So hope everyone's clear where we're going with this little presentation here. This is a synopsis. It's like a brief introduction to the process of japa as meditation. Okay. So now you should see I've still got the lines on, but now you're going to see a slide, Nam Smaran, and you see 3 M's. You just ignore that. That's one of my typos. Please excuse me. You might see some coming up. So we're actually engaged in worship, and we're worshipping Krishna, and Krishna has come in this age in the form of his holy name. So in one sense, this is our worshipable deity. Our worshipable deity is the holy name Krishna, manifest as the holy name. So proper worship then of the holy name, it begins with the ability to meditate on the sound vibrations. Swavam Kirtanam, the first stage is hearing. So we are being able to taste the sweetness. Krishna is the sweetest of the sweet, and his name is none different from himself. So again, if we've worked hard at chanting 16 rounds attentively, then hopefully we will come to a specific stage which is called Nam Smaran, which means we begin to taste the sweetness. It's interesting, the sweetness with the tongue, the ears, and the mind. This is called Nam Smaran. And there's a nice verse which came to mind when I was going over the presentation just recently, and it is the verse I've mentioned from the Nectar of Instruction, text 8. So I'll just recite that verse. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu shmityo kramena rashana manasi niyoja tishtan braji tat anuragi janogami kalam nayat akilam iti upadeshisharam. And a beautiful verse, again, Nectar of Instruction, text 8. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. So this is a great success in our life, in our devotional life, if we can sit down and begin to taste something, begin to taste Krishna. Yeah? And that's the stage. That's one of the first stages of Krishna Smana, or the first stages of Nama Bhajana, is that you like chanting. And I hope, devotees, we've all had experience to a one degree or another. At some time, by the mercy of the devotees, by the mercy of the holy name, Krishna wants to encourage us. We should have experience where we like to chant the holy name. Yeah, where it's not a burden. This is what we're looking for. So we may get glimpses by the Krishna's by Krishna's grace, but advanced devotees who are purified in heart, they will always taste the sweetness of the name. Yeah. So this is called Nam Smaran, first stage. So the symptoms, there's symptoms of this. This is from the Jabali Samhita. I've never heard of the Jabali Samhita myself, but this is quoted by Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbha. He's speaking about this effect of the holy name. The holy name should have an effect on us. Yeah, the mind becomes completely inebriated by the taste of the holy name, as a result of which it abandons its capricious tendencies. Now, I just want to remind devotees that this is how to improve our chanting. So we should read this or hear this and think, wow, that sounds really great. I really want to be on this level of chanting. Yeah, so in this way it should inspire us. Yeah. So the mind becomes completely inebriated, and probably the word inebriated, it means drunk or intoxicated. Interesting. So we become completely intoxicated. People in the material world are looking for intoxication, aren't they? They're looking, a lot of people, intoxicated. We want to be intoxicated by Krishna. We want to be intoxicated by the holy name. So of attempting chanting is that one becomes inebriated. One becomes described here intoxicated by the holy name. And the mind gives up its capricious tendencies. Why? Because it's absorbed in the sweetness of the name. And capricious, just looked at the dictionary meaning for given to changes of mood, or goes here or goes there. Given to sudden, unaccountable changes.
Hare Krishna.
Go on to the next level of a perfected chanting.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, please. What's your name, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, Vamsidhari Das here.
Vamsidhari, go to Premanande. Nice to hear your voice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, what are the, so you mentioned these are the symptoms of Nam Smaranam.
Yes, yes.
So once you have experienced this complete inebriated state of mind by chanting the holy name, now, like Arjun asks in Bhagavad Gita, how does such a person sit? How does such a person walk? How does such a person talk? What is a natural outcome of the body? What is the natural body language after experiencing this state?
Yeah, very good question. Very good question. this is all internal. Everything else remains the same externally. This is my spiritual master, and this is a religion of the mind. So there may be plenty of advanced devotees who are chanting at this level, where they're really just intoxicated by the holy name. But externally, they will keep themselves as everyone else. Does that make sense? So this is an internal meditation. If
Okay.
I'm addressing your question, it's not as if, in other words, it's not as if you start rolling around in a japa room or things like that. This is going on within the heart and the mind, so to speak.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, does that help? So that's a very good question. This is all internal meditation, the internal experience. And sometimes I'm sure we may have experienced a few seconds or some, by some grace of Krishna, we've experienced, being absorbed in the holy name and getting the taste. But some devotees are always on this stage. Yeah. So thank you for that question. Thank you. I hope that's clarified that. Yeah, good point. This is all internal. Yeah. And so then that's absorbed in the name itself. Now then it's really inspiring actually, even to speak about this, because something because the next stage that comes from being involved in the name is Rupa Smarana. That's a shame because there's a beautiful picture of Londonishwar here, but there's all blue lines on.
Murli Prabhu, I just wanted to check.
Yeah,
One of
is
the
that
devotees
me
mentioned,
or?
yeah, basically, there's an annotation
me.
setting, and I
There's a
think
what setting?
there's an annotation setting, and I think if you move your mouse around, it
Me.
draws lines, perhaps.
Let's see.
I'm not sure how to get rid of that, but it's
How-
from your screen,
I'm not going to
apparently.
get rid of that. Oh, there you see.
There is a pen signal symbol. You can see a pen symbol somewhere. By mistake, you might have pressed that pen symbol and you might have chosen a.
Okay, I'm looking for the pen symbol. Oh yeah, I can see the pen symbol. Now I want to do the
Eraser.
clear. Yeah, no, eraser. Where's the eraser?
When you click the pen symbol,
Okay, everyone's ready? I'm going to erase these lines for Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Jai.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jai.
Okay.
We got there at the end.
Learning. I'm just learning about Zoom. Please forgive me. Okay, I tried to keep my fingers still, not touching
You've
the
left
buttons.
the
Okay.
black lines, Prabhu, I think. One to your left.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. How did I? Annotate. That's it. Eraser. Yes, well spotted. Okay, how's that?
I think there's still one. Oh, yeah, done. All done. Haribol. Thank you.
It's just like dressing Krishna. We're doing dressing Krishna. Okay. So the next stage then, the next flower then, or the next stage is Rupa Smarana. So this is the appearance of Krishna's form. Now we should understand this carefully. This will be natural. And the word natural is an interesting word. Natural means it happens of its own course without undue effort. That's why Srila Prabhupada would often say we shouldn't artificially try and force the form of Krishna within the mind. You can try it. I mean, there's no harm in trying. It's a good thing to do, but you'll find because we may not have the requisite purity or the qualification, then we won't be able to keep that form within the mind. And sometimes we see it where devotees artificially try and invoke meditations like this, and they end up chanting the wrong mantra. They end up chanting they say the wrong words. It means it's not natural. But at the stage of perfection, this is a natural thing, is that a devotee, the appearance of Krishna's form, or even it's described in the study by Sivarama Swami, even one desires to think of the form. One really desires, it's just naturally that there's a natural desire to think of the form, because you're so absorbed in the name, and the name is not different from the form. So then Krishna's form. Yeah. So just the appearance of Krishna's form, or at least the desire to think of Krishna form, arises spontaneously in the mind. So again, this word spontaneously is along with the word natural. Yeah. So that means one is then, that is at which time the chant is qualified for the next stage of Nama Bhajana. So this is to meditate upon Krishna's form. So this is what advanced devotees are doing, and we shouldn't artificially try and jump to this stage, but it's to inspire us in our chanting. But when devotees are chanting, they're absorbed in Krishna, and they're really absorbed in Krishna, his name, his form, etc. Yeah. And he's nicely written here, his soothing complexion and enchanting smile reflect every way the sound of his sacred names. So, I mean, I don't have realizations on these points myself, but this is the result of perfected chanting. One's chanting a name and one's relishing the form. We may have some glimpses, some Krishna may give us sometime the ability to do so. So this level of meditation is called Rupa Smarana. Now, this can be also done by fixing the mind on some portrait of Krishna, or some description of Krishna given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can also practice, someone may practice also Rupa Smarana by chanting in front of the deities as well. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam here. Having withdrawn the mind from all other objects, one should directly and appropriately absorb it in me. So we have to, this is the whole point of japa meditation. We should want to absorb it in Krishna. And this is the details of this absorption, what we're discussing now. So basic Nama Bhajana aims to train the mind. Now, it's preferable to perform Rupa Smarana. It's actually described. Although we said you can meditate on the picture, meditate upon the deity, it is preferable actually in order to train the mind, is to do it within. Yeah, that takes a little bit more, it's a little bit more kind of difficult, you could say, but that's the preferred way. You can meditate upon the deity. For example, you can meditate upon the deity and close your eyes, and while you're chanting, someone may be remembering the form. Now, I just want to again reiterate, I hope this is not sounding too esoterical, but we do have to hear about where we want to go in our chanting. Yeah. So again, back to the first point I was making, this is why we have to really try and at least learn to chant 16 rounds with attention. And this will be the fruits of that. Yeah. Any questions on this? Or any reflections? Or
Hare Krishna.
Again, I've got a line on Prabhupada. Sorry, let me just...
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Prabhu, please ask the question.
I have a question.
What's your good name? Who's speaking?
Maxim.
Hare Krishna, Maxim. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. Yes.
As I understand, meditation on sound, meditation on vibration of sound of mantra,
yeah,
the kind of a first level, and next level is meditation on Krishna's form.
Yeah, this is what we're describing. Yeah.
But does it mean that meditation of Krishna form comes naturally after meditation on sound, or we should practice both simultaneously?
No, it will be a natural consequence. It will be a natural consequence of being correctly and being nicely absorbed in Krishna's name. Then we will also, the mind will search, and then the mind will also want to think of Krishna's form. So it's an interesting question, because Krishna's name and Krishna's form are non-different. Now, when we're chanting the name properly, we will realize that non-difference will become realized by the grace of Krishna. And that revelation will take place where his form will naturally, it will be naturally and spontaneously, you will meditate upon the form, but you'll be absorbed in the name. You're absorbed in the same thing. You're absorbed in Krishna. Did that help? Does that?
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Anybody else is
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who's speaking?
My name is Charlotte.
Charlotte. Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you for
Hare
joining
Krishna,
us. Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful class. It's very inspiring. I wanted to ask, because it seems from what you're saying that by meditating on the holy name, the two-armed form of Krishna will come. And I suppose I'm wondering, when you advised in the scriptures to focus on the super soul, is that form any part of what you're saying, or?
Yeah, that's a meditation specifically of the yogi, so to speak, the Paramatma. That's a specific meditation. We're specifically, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we're focused on directly Krishna himself. So we're engaged in practices to help us to meditate upon Krishna. That's a separate practice to meditate upon the super. So that's what yogis do as their sadhana. Bhakti yogi is, in one sense, they have a sense of devotion, but it's not accompanied by any service. So that's a specific form of meditation of the Lord within the heart, which is recommended, which yogis might do. Does that help?
Thank you. So I'm understanding that by when you're engaged in Krishna consciousness, by going within, you're going straight to the two-armed form. You're not worrying about the other levels.
Yeah, or hopefully the two-armed form should come to us. That's what that is the idea. Yeah, we're not. Our goal is not meditation on the four-armed form of Vishnu. It's not a bad meditation. It's probably a better meditation to have in the material world, but that's a different direction. And actually, it gets quite technical, because actually, then Krishna manifests within the heart as that, or that worshipful deity you're meditate upon, say Krishna, will manifest within the heart of the devotee. Yeah, but that's another subject. But did that help?
Yes, thank you.
No,
thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Now you have to really excuse me, but I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still putting lines, so I'm going to try and really. Okay, so. And this is Krishna, he instructs Uddhava in this system of mental absorption. This should be and this is quoted from the book by Jiva Goswami, one of our great teachers. He says, the actual yoga system as taught by my devotees, headed by Shanak Kumar, is simply this. Having withdrawn the mind from all other objects, one should, just quoting this verse, one should appropriately absorb it in me. So that's from the 11th canto. This is the Uddhava Gita. And so moving on. Everyone can see this nice picture? Sure you can, of Lord
Yes.
Chaitanya?
Yes, Haribol.
Sankirtan. This is nighttime Sankirtan. Lord Chaitanya will dance all night. Got the torches there, beautiful picture. Now, when an effect of this level of chanting, or maturity at this level of meditation, it can be seen when Krishna's form, which is non-different from his name, appears naturally and spontaneously during Sankirtan, during Kirtan, where we're chanting a holy name. So the reason we chant the holy name is to be absorbed in Krishna. So it happens in japa with an accomplished chanter of the holy name, and it happens in Kirtan. So we're chanting the holy names of the Lord in Kirtan together, you know, with drums, madanga, cartels, and the devotees are absorbed. The advanced devotees, they're absorbed again in Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. This is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this picture here, and all his associates, they will be absorbed in Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes in the midst of their Sankirtan. And you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they would exhibit great symptoms of ecstasy, sometimes falling on the floor, etc. So just to note, this is also for someone at a maturity in a meditation is reached when these things manifest in Kirtan as well. So we can perhaps let's pray for that level of absorption in Kirtan. Yeah, Kirtan is not, you know, we just, I'm going to say, I mean, this is the goal of Kirtan. We should be thinking of Krishna. I mean, Kirtan is not just, well, it's for dancing, but not just to perform an exhibition, so to speak. We're supposed to be absorbed. We're supposed to be dancing for the pleasure of the Lord, and also we're supposed to be absorbed in the Lord as well. Okay, so then, having discussed the rupa, now what comes next? Some of you might guess it's guna smarana. I'll just check the time. We're doing good for time. Now, guna means qualities. So one tastes the fruit of rupa smarana when the mind is purified and eager to seek out Krishna's unlimited and extraordinary qualities. Yeah, and this picture here, just like a swan, you know, it dives beneath the water to play among the lotuses. There's no lotuses there in the picture. But in other words, you get the idea. A devotee's mind is swimming in the nectar of the holy name, Krishna's form. And then, because Krishna has a form and Krishna has qualities. He has unlimited extraordinary qualities. So at this stage, guna smarana, the mind recognizes Lord Krishna's qualities. Yeah, from the sounds of his names comes Krishna's qualities, and Krishna's qualities are described in Nectar of Devotion, chapter on the Nectar of Devotion. The 64 qualities of Krishna is mentioned. So at this point, it just comes to mind to also mention that it's good for us to read about Krishna's qualities. It's good for us to read about Krishna's form and the beauty of his form and his qualities, to become somewhat acquainted with Krishna's qualities and personal form and his actual form. Because this will help us in the future when hopefully by the grace of the Lord we can perfect their chanting. If we're already familiar with Krishna's qualities, then we can be more easily absorbed in Krishna's qualities. Again, if there are any questions, please just unmute and, so to speak, put your hand up or make your voice known, and we can discuss.
Hi Krishna Prabhuji, Vamsidhari Das here again.
Yes, Vamsidhari, please, yes.
Prabhuji, maybe this is a stupid question.
I'm sure it's not.
Sometimes the chanter may not have an understanding of the form of the Lord, but they might have heard amazing quality of Krishna. I can't remember all the examples, but I think Nagpatnis had never seen Krishna. They had heard of the amazing qualities of Krishna. So they were meditating on those.
Yeah, I think also they would hear about, the people would also speak about the beauty of Krishna. That's for sure. That was one of Krishna's trademarks in Braj. He was so beautiful. So they'd often describe I'm sure they wouldn't just describe his qualities. So long that will be descriptions of the form as well. But this is generally the different stages which is mentioned when it's mentioned about Nama Bhajana. I'm sure aware of it. Name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. That's generally, as one gains more qualification, more purity, more grace, more mercy of the spiritual master, then these are the gifts that are given in the midst of one's chanting. Yeah? First, you'll be absorbed in the name, then the form, then you'll be qualified to be more absorbed in Krishna's qualities. But that's generally the way it goes. Someone may be absorbed in the qualities first. That may happen. I should think that may happen. But the general way it does happen is, as is mentioned, Nam, Rupa, Guna, like that. But it's not, and if by Krishna's grace, one may be absorbed in his qualities. One may hear some qualities of Krishna and just really be meditated upon that without being so acquainted with descriptions of his form. That's perfectly possible. But the general practice will be as we're mentioning now.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mother. Who's speaking?
Krishna Vani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I wanted to ask a question that, Krishna, he has 4 special qualities apart from other incarnations. So
yeah, what's those qualities? You can tell us?
Like, okay, it's a Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, but the 4th one, I'm not sure.
That's devotees, I think it's he's surrounded by wonderful devotees.
Okay.
Right, his devotees are endowed with wonderful, his wonderful devotees have a spontaneous attraction for Krishna's beauty and his qualities. So, unless someone can correct me, the one missing there is Krishna's wonderful devotees.
And
okay.
Bhaktavatsalya.
Bhaktavatsalya, yeah, thank you. He's one. That means he's very merciful towards his devotees. Yeah, is that okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yes. So these qualities. This is from Nectar of Devotion you're quoting. Yes, this is mentioned there. There's 4 qualities which makes him extra special. Yeah. Okay, so
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Yes, this is Padmavati.
Padmavati, yes.
Yes, this is not a question, Prabhu. There's a question in the chat.
Oh yeah, please ask it because I can't see that. I'm not seeing it for some reason, but go ahead. You can read it for us. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol, I can read it for you. So the question is, Prabhu, how can we explain and make sense when we see a devotee crying whilst they're chanting? What causes this? And it's from Umika Hansora.
Ah, interesting question. Well, that's the goal of chanting. That's the goal of, as Gaur Govinda Maharaj say, that we have opened a crying school. That's a good sign. That's a good sign if one is shedding tears. But it shouldn't be forced, obviously. It shouldn't be artificial. It shouldn't be in any way making a show. If there's any glimpse within your heart that you want other people to see tears coming from your eyes, that means you're not qualified. Devotees, I mean, it's an impurity, but it should be there. It's nice. It's a good sign. Sometimes our devotees may experience that, tears coming from the eyes. And that's Krishna's grace. That's the grace of the holy name. That's the grace of the spiritual master. Devotees may feel quite emotional when they're chanting. That's good, but it should be we should want to keep it internal. Devotees don't want to make a show. They're very embarrassed. They're rather, very embarrassed. They don't want to make an exhibition. That is the opposite of a devotee. So, for instance, the story of Madhavendra Puri, when it became known that the Lord has saved him sweet rice, then it became obvious that everyone in the village would come to get his blessings. So he left the village. So, and what I'm saying, I'm not exactly sure the context of your question, but if someone, for instance, just sits in with the devotees chanting the holy name, and they've still got lots of bad habits, smoking or whatever, and they're crying, we shouldn't take that so seriously. Yeah, it should be their practices do not give, they're not on the level of perfection. They may be inspired, they may be just emotional and sentimental. Sometimes that's there. They may be just materially emotional and sentimental and crying. But anyway, back to the point, if devotees are feeling, hopefully at some point, if devotees may be inspired by the holy name and tears coming from the eyes, then you should, if it's too much, you should go to a private place. You shouldn't want to exhibit in public. That's what my spiritual master describes. One should go to a private place. Does that help? Did that help that answer? Hare Krishna?
Yes, that question was on the chat, so I'm not sure who asked that.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anybody else on that? Any reflections on that? Anyone like to?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Padma
Prabhu,
yes.
yes. Sometimes you hear the devotees chanting, although we know we have to pronounce it correctly. Keep on going, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Ram Ram. And sometimes devotees start chanting very loudly in a group session. And for somebody,
the wrong mantra?
Yes, we say Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, always.
Okay, yeah.
And so in a group, it is sometimes it's really difficult for somebody who is really concentrating Rama correctly. So what is the best way you suggest, Prabhu, in such a situation? What we should do?
Yeah, you should be. There should be, if there's a group of devotees, and you're all sitting there chanting the holy name, and someone's chanting the wrong mantra, then it can be a distraction for others. So there should be some avenue of communication. Depends on the situation, it may be better to wait until the japa period is finished and then speak to that devotee's mentor if they have one, or a senior person who's guiding them. Or if you feel you have that relationship with the devotee, then you may mention in a humble way, actually, Prabhu, I noticed when he was chanting, please forgive me, but actually he was chanting the wrong mantra. And we've all done it. I've done it. I've been chastised by my spiritual master in the past for chanting the wrong mantra. Yeah. So you should do it respectfully, you do it nicely. Don't get agitated in a circle and just yell at someone. That won't make the japa so good. Just try and, tolerate it for now and then address it afterwards. That's what I would generally advise, Just say, when we're in japa together, devotees chant all types of ways and all types of, so sometimes you have to be a bit tolerant. But if there's someone who's not chanting correctly, what is important you're doing them a favor by telling them that. Don't neglect it. Don't, if you hear someone chanting a wrong mantra, they're not going to make advancement. They're not going to reach perfection in chanting. So you should see it as important. You actually want to help that devotee. You want to help them. So in that regard, you should make sure you speak to their mentor, or if you have a relationship, you can speak to them directly. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Guna Smarana. Just reading here, by saying Hare, one remembers Krishna's infinite kindness, which inspires the Lord to remove all sufferings and to grant an opportunity for a new carefree life. At this such a fortunate soul cries. So you get the idea. Devotees, the qualities of Krishna, they move from being on a page in a book to being an experience of the heart. You understand? We may read about Krishna's qualities. Oh yeah, he's got 64 qualities, he's this, that, and we read it. But when the heart actually sees it, and you'll be able to see those qualities through the grace of the holy name. So it moves from the book to an actual experience of the heart. You're actually feeling, and practically you're actually experiencing Krishna's qualities as if you're personally with him. And that will cause the soul to cry. Devotional tears. And then reading on, then when one sees Krishna's hand holding the flute, that soul becomes fearless in the face of obstacles. And recalls the gopis' words that glorify this quality. So I'm just reading directly here. And a verse here. Oh, best of the Rishnis, your lotus-like hand, which holds the goddess of fortune, grants fearlessness to those who approach your lotus feet out of fear of material existence. Oh, my Lord, please place that wish-fulfilling lotus hand on their heads. So all the material world is full of what? It's full of fear. Full of fear. It's full of fear, full of anxiety, full of fear. But when one's absorbed in Krishna, all that fear goes. When one's absorbed in Krishna's qualities, there is no fear. Guna Smarana. Any questions, please ask, or any reflections? Again, I'm going to remind everyone again, this is the fruits that come from attentive chanting of 16 rounds. So this is hopefully inspiring us. Yes, let me sit down. Let me discipline myself to chant the holy name attentively for 2 hours. We should make great effort. In one sense, we have great opportunity to practice because we chant the holy name. If one is an initiated devotee, we take vows to chant 16 rounds every day. So 2 hours every day, you get an opportunity to practice chanting, which is quite good, isn't it, if you think about it?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Hi, my name's Yogi Lee Das.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this knowledge. What sort of pace should I be chanting? Because what sort of speed? What sort of pace?
Oh, yeah.
Because you say in 2 hours, which I'm trying to achieve, but it could take me an hour to do 5.
Yeah, you have to bear with it. What's your name again, Prabhuji?
Yogi Lee Das. Yogi Lee.
Yogi Lee. Yeah. Please, you have to bear with it. When I mentioned 2 hours chanting, and it's a good question you're asking. This is when someone becomes more practiced in chanting. This is the general time it takes, and it's like 7 minutes a round. It comes out to about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So that actually comes from more practice. So in the beginning, it may take you longer. Don't worry about that. make sure you're chanting the mantra correctly, in the right sequence and pronouncing all the syllables, and then naturally you will chant faster. But generally it's good at some point to aim, because it's nice in one sense, we could spend all day chanting Hare Krishna, but we have other services to do in the service of the Lord. So generally it works out. Experienced devotees, they're generally looking, you're looking at 7 minutes around. Some may take a bit longer, and some take 5 minutes as well. So does that help, Yogi? You just be patient, and
yes, that's very good.
Yeah, don't worry about how long it takes. Just make sure you're pronouncing all the syllables, and naturally you will be able to get more acclimatized to the chanting. Your mind will get more used to it, and you get more practice, and you'll find your chanting will.
Okay. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, everyone's still with us, hopefully. So the next stage then is Guna Smarana. Next stage is Leela Smarana. So Leela, as devotees might know, it means pastimes. So Krishna has a form. Krishna has qualities. Krishna obviously has activities that he does within the spiritual realm and within the material realm. So the thoughts of Krishna's form and qualities, the next natural, again, gift that is given, so to speak, is Krishna's thoughts that lead one's absorption leads to his transcendental pastimes. So this comes when one is eager to remember when the mind is saturated, and it's a good description, the mind is saturated with thoughts of Krishna and his name. So the next stage is spontaneous remembrance of Krishna's pastimes while being absorbed in his holy name. So again, just to remind everybody, this is what great advanced devotees are absorbed in. Sanatana Goswami, great saints in our line, Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, hears stories of them chanting all day. And they're absorbed in Krishna's name, form, quality, and pastimes. So this is called Leela Smaranam. And this is what it means to actually, this is the best of all meditation practices. Yeah, meditation in the Vedas, it's never impersonal, actually. Meditation is always on the form. Actually, real meditation is on the form, and specifically the meditation here through Nama Bhajana, which we're doing through chanting the holy name. So eventually one will reach a level where one is absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. So by practice, pure chanting, and also good point coming to mind I should mention here is that these different stages, this is all done under the guidance of a spiritual master. It may be your direct Diksha Guru, or it may be another devotee. So you understand that we should be, this should be under guidance. The meditation one has while chanting japa, you should have someone you can go to and say, I'm thinking like this, I'm meditating like this. And the spiritual master may say, no, that's not right. You should just meditate upon the sound. Don't try and artificially think of these things. Is everyone, is any questions on that point? It's an important point to mention while we're mentioning this discussion. This is all done on the guidance of one's spiritual authorities.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I do not know whether this is relevant to... Yes, Prabhu. I don't know whether this is relevant, but I was reading Sadguru Swami Ashtikam, and the last verse, it says, six Goswamis, those go in the Yamuna, the banks of Yamuna, and they say,
Krishna,
calling out Radharani. And so if they are meditating on the past times, still were they looking for the Krishna? I do not understand this, but maybe it's not the right question.
No, it's a very deep question, which I don't think I may not be qualified to answer. But there's a specific experience, there's a specific mood which we're chanting Krishna's name in. And that is a mood that we are separated from Krishna.
Say it again, Prabhu. Sorry.
We are separated from Krishna. That's the underlying mood that we have in our practice of chanting. So it's a very good question you're bringing up. So the mood, as Prabhupada would describe, like a child crying for its mother. So that's the mood, this mood of approach that we are separated from Krishna. We are feeling separation from him. So that's a mood we chanting. I mean, that's why we chant, because we're separated from Krishna and we want to remember him. Now, in the perfected stages, like you're mentioning the six Goswamis, they would go more or less mad in separation of Krishna. So they would, as the verse describes, they would be here and be there and looking for Krishna. This is a state which we cannot probably understand fully, but it's a state called unmada, where one becomes mad after Krishna. And so even though the name is non-different, what may happen with advanced devotees is that Krishna reveals his name, his fame, and his qualities and his pastimes, and then all of a sudden it all disappears. And the devotee's whole heart and soul is being absorbed in Krishna through the holy name. And then all of a sudden one is unable. Krishna steps back to watch the fun, so to speak. And then so therefore you read, devotees will then also experience Krishna, fulfilling separation from Krishna. So that's as much as I can say on that. It's a very deep subject, and perhaps I'm not qualified to answer.
It's not totally desperate. Is it what we can say?
You could put it mildly, so to speak. Yeah, they're desperate, and that's what we should become. No, we shouldn't be artificial.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be artificial, but at least we can sit down and we can experience sit down and come to terms with the experience of our material attachments in the world, and our problems and our petty problems that we're going through in this material world, and our anxieties. And in that sense, our only hope is Krishna. And then pick up our beads and Krishna. And in that mood, we're feeling separation from Krishna's grace and mercy.
Okay, yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Yes, so now there's a subsection here, if anyone's taking notes. So this is recorded as well. Padmanabh Nishanand is going to record this, so if you want to listen again, that will be available. But next section here is that there's 5 methods of this development is given in conjunction with what we're explaining here. And this is from the Ishopanishad. Again, this is what it's mentioned in text 8, I'm quite sure. So this stage, Prabhupada calls a stage called Shravandas. So we're just backtracking a bit. And this is another description of the development of Nama Bhajana, or faith in the holy name, from another perspective, so to speak. So just bear with me. I'll explain it. So everyone can see this picture of Prabhupada. This is Prabhupada giving lectures on Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. It looks a bit different now. If you go to Vrindavan, there's a big cage above it. It's all inside now. But there's Prabhupada, he's given Nectar of Devotion lectures. Nice picture there. So hearing that, so the first we're going to hear the truths about the holy name. Yeah. Once hearing the holy name is non-different from Krishna. What we're doing now constitutes the stage of Shravan Das, where we're hearing about the holy name, and it's giving us faith in the holy name. So that Shravan Das is the first, as a stage that Prabhupada gives, exposing ourselves to the truths of the holy name, exposing ourselves to the science of the holy name, or exposing ourselves to the glories of the holy name. That's Shravan Das. So that faith should then manifest further of acceptance, Varana Das. You see this, let me just adjust it. You see the picture here? One Mataji, she's blissfully taking the beads from Prabhupada. So in other words, that's a specific stage in Nama Bhajana. From one perspective, you hear about the glories of the name, then you accept vows to chant that holy name. Yeah, every day for the rest of our lives. And devotees know, those who have taken Diksha, that's a specific stage. So it culminates in regular chanting. Yeah. So this stage of acceptance includes both offensive and the clearing stage of Nama Bhajana. So one may still be chanting offensively at this stage, or chanting with offenses. Yeah. Again, so when these offenses are finally removed, and one is situated in a mode of goodness, one can actually meditate. So you follow, we've kind of just looking at this development, or this levels of absorption in chanting from different stages. Now, hearing about the holy name, Varana Das, means accepting initiation to chant the holy name every day for the rest of our lives. Hare Krishna. So some of you might be at different stages. Some of you may just be hearing about the holy name and may not have initiation. But hopefully this will be a natural consequence of you hearing about the holy name. You may be inspired to accept the spiritual master and accept some beads and take vows of chanting. Yeah. Again, any questions, please put your hand up, so to speak, or in this Zoom, come unmute.
Yeah, there was a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
One was about, there's an audio on YouTube about Srila Prabhupada, and someone's asked this, and they're saying that they can hear Srila Prabhupada chanting, and I think they use it when they're doing japa. So Prabhupada's chanting Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
I don't know the particular context of that, but the mantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you hear the general japa recordings of Prabhupada, he would chant the mantra like that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So sometimes you hear Prabhupada chant Jaya Radha Madhav. Don't know if devotees have heard that. And in his, can only perhaps in his ecstasy, he chants it wrong. In other words, his mind is going with what pastimes are being revealed when he's chanting. So we shouldn't kind of see too much into that. We should want to chant the mantra as Prabhupada gave it to us. I don't know the context of that recording, but I don't deny it. It may be there. But the mantra is, and Prabhupada gave us the mantra in its correct form. So I wouldn't take it. It doesn't mean we then, because we heard that one recording, then we chant also Ram, 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 Krishna, Ram, 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 like that. So I hope that helps. There was another question?
Yes, Prabhuji. There's another question. If someone is left-handed, is it okay to chant with the left hand?
I don't know. Anyone out there can help with this question? I would say anyone heading a direction this from their spiritual masters or teachers. Generally, we chant in the right hand because it's more respectful. Yeah. So I would say learn to chant with the right hand. But anyone else has any? Anyone out there can give any? Yes, please. Someone is.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
I think it should be right hand all the time, unless there is some problem with right hand. Then the exception is yes, because it depends on what hand do you eat with. So if you eat with the right hand, that should be the norm. And also when you go to toilet and the tissues you use. What
the left hand is known as Anmuchi.
That's right.
Yeah.
So unless there is a problem, somebody's got that disability, then they're allowed to chant with the.
Thank you for that confirmation. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone chanting with their left hand, practically speaking. I've just never seen it. So even left-handers, they chant with their right hand. So I think we can confirm that, yeah. Unless you have a disability unless you don't have a left hand, unless you don't have a right hand, then you chant with a left hand. Yes, someone else says.
It's a Satyanarayana Das here.
Jai Satyanarayana Prabhu. Nice to hear your voice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now, my understanding is it should be chanted with right hand.
Yes.
Someone is left-handed, but if they practice with right hand, Krishna always help.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So it sounds like you've had personal experience of devotees. Huh?
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, practice. So yeah, it just reminds me. I used to play football when I was young for a local team, and I'm right-footed, and I would practice playing with my left foot as well. And after some time, I got quite good at playing with my left foot as well. so practice makes perfect. Yeah.
Right. As soon as that question arises, I'm chanting with right hand, so I just try with the left hand, not holding the beads, but just without beads. And I could chant on even left hand. So person can do with both hands, but should be chanted with right hand.
It's recommended. It's more respectful because the left hand is used for cleaning and things like that. In Vedic culture, we eat with the right hand, things like that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Satyanarayana Prabhu. Wonderful to hear your voice. So I just thought I'd mention this point, how to improve our chanting. Some of you might have seen the title and perhaps had a certain conception of what we'll be teaching here today. And it might not be exactly what you thought. But please still, if you have any practical questions on chanting, please feel free to ask, like those questions we just fielded about right or left hand. Please feel free to ask if you had some questions lined up. Yeah, because I must admit this might be a bit esoterical presentation, but it's
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please. Hare Krishna.
No, it's a fantastic talk. It really is. So I basically Yogi Lee. Yogi Lee Das.
Again. Hare Krishna.
Hello.
I didn't recognize your voice. Go ahead.
Wonderful afternoon. Thank you. So basically, I go to the temple once a week in Manchester.
Okay.
I suppose my question is, how do I find a spiritual master who I can ask questions? I mean, I do have various friends who are devotees, and I plan to go to India in February. Could you give me some advice?
Yeah, by the grace of Krishna, one gets a spiritual master.
Yeah.
So by Krishna's grace, when the time is right in your spiritual development, you will be, Krishna will help to guide you towards a
see.
specific spiritual master. Now, having said that as well, there is some practical steps we can also take as well. If you know a spiritual master is coming to the temple or giving a lecture somewhere, you can go and hear from. Yeah. Also, we're using now, especially now more than ever, a lot of spiritual masters are giving discourses online. You can hear their lectures. So that's there as well. But be patient with the process, and when the time is right, you will feel Krishna will inspire you specifically in that regards. So it's a stage of spiritual practice. So we should as much as possible, we should want to expose ourselves to advanced devotees and hear their words. So, and within your Pacific, you're in Manchester. I know the devotees there, very wonderful devotees managing the temple there. They've been practicing many years, so don't be hesitant to ask them questions.
Sure.
About your chanting and your development.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, they can give you good guidance. It's not just the Diksha gurus who can give you guidance. You shouldn't just be waiting for them. Then there is. I know in Manchester, many wonderful devotees who've been chanting for most of their lives. They can give you advice.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yogili. Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's edge on. Now, Smaran Das, not wanted to confuse you any further, hopefully not, but this Smaran, remembrance, this stage of Smaran, it follows, I just bring the slide up. It follows a different levels of achievement, which you will see if someone is serious about meditation, someone goes to a ashram in the Himalayas or whatever, these different levels are known for persons who meditate. So they can also be spoken of in conjunction with the holy name. So sometimes you will see these 5 stages. These stages will be given to an impersonal meditation. Yeah, you understand? So someone may just meditating, trying so-called difficult to keep the mind still. They may want to achieve these different stages. I hope everyone follows. So this can be seen in conjunction with remembrance of the name, Smaran. So we'll just go through these stages. The first one is Smaran itself. So while we're describing these, you can think where we are in our japa, in our meditation. So the first stage is known as Smaran. It's not confused with the whole, it's not confused with the whole topic of Smaran Das, but the first stage is known as Smaran. So one first is attempting to gain a deeper taste for chanting and hearing, but it's not very systematic and it doesn't produce substantial results. So this is the first stage of accomplishment in meditation. Say you're chanting and for a few seconds you try and meditate, you try and keep the mind still, then boom, the mind's gone for the next 20 minutes. And you're wondering what happened. Then again you try it. Then again it goes. So in other words, your ability to meditate is not very systematic. You understand? It doesn't produce, but we still try it. Every journey starts with a step. So this is where you're first going to be when you start meditation. When you start japa meditation, the mind will go here, the mind will go there. It's not like a systematic Nama Bhajana. It doesn't mean something's going wrong. It just means it's the beginning stages. Yeah. Now the next stage is known as dharana. So this is one gradually attempts one's gradual attempts to control the mind, it at some point will meet with success, and you'll learn to more withdraw the mind from things going on around you, and you'll be able, and you have the ability to be more concentrated. Yeah. And this stage doesn't come without going through the first stage. Without making an effort to control the mind, this stage will not come. So the second stage is one actually, this dharana, one is able to withdraw the mind from attachments, from the external world, and one's able to concentrate for some time. Yep. And the next stage is dhyana. This is the word is quite well known, dhyana, meditation. So this is a stage where one is able to contemplate again the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna without obstruction, without much effort. Hopefully that sounds inspiring. Yeah. So again, this comes from going through the different stages: smarana, dharana, dhyana, meditation. And something's just coming to mind just now as well. As we're describing this, it may sound mechanical. This stage leads to this stage leads to that stage. But please take note, it's not mechanical. It's all completely dependent upon Krishna's mercy. If Krishna sees you making effort, he will open up the door to his holy name. So don't just, when we're describing these different stages, don't think, okay, now this stage should happen, now that stage should happen. We cannot control Krishna. The holy name is non-different from Krishna. So we cannot force success at these different stages. We are completely dependent upon Krishna's mercy. We cannot force these different. And Krishna can. Yeah, there's a question there. Hare Krishna. Shall I continue? I thought there was a question there. Yeah, so please keep this in mind. We should be prayerful. We should pray for Krishna's grace and Krishna's mercy. And again, it's not mechanical. And yeah, that was the point. It just slipped my mind. But the only way that, in other words, the only way to be absorbed, or the only way to purchase Krishna, so to speak, is through devotion. So the more devoted we become, then the more we have the ability, or the more Krishna will want to come to us. Yeah, Krishna's hungry. He's not, oh, Krishna's not hungry for anything, but he's hungry for devotion, for the devotion of his devotees. And that's what he wants to see. So sometimes devotees experience it where they're hopeless, their chanting is hopeless, but they're trying their best, they're sincere. I know I see it in japa with myself and others, and I see they're trying, the mind's going here, but they're trying. They're really trying with sincerity. And even if one is not at these different stages we're describing, Krishna will become pleased, and then Krishna will manifest himself within the holy name. Then the devotee will be absorbed. That's Krishna's grace. So I just thought I'd mention that there. So it sounds mechanical what we're describing, but please keep in mind, we're always dependent upon Krishna's grace and mercy. Yeah. So if there's no questions about that, I'll move on. So we describe smarana, dharana, and dhyana, meditation. Yeah, so this is one can meditate quite easily with Krishna's grace. Please remember that. With Krishna's grace and mercy, one's devotion and purity has developed through chanting and service to the point where one can easily grasp Krishna without obstruction. Now it's said here that the stage of meditation transports the chanter beyond all dualities. So the dualities of the material world at this stage no longer exist to such a person. heat and cold, or loss and gain, victory or defeat. There's all these dualities in the material world. At this stage, one is actually meditating. So these dualities, they transport one beyond the dualities of the material world: birth, death, old age and disease, etc. Yeah. Now the next two stages, Dhruvan Smriti and Samadhi. The next two stages, from constant remembrance and Samadhi, indicate a deep absorption in, again, what we describe Krishna's Leela and pastimes. And there's a quote from Lord Kapila, I just give here, from the 3rd canto. Sorry, I haven't got the exact verse. But just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy flows uninterrupted towards towards the Lord. Yeah. So naturally, spontaneously, one's devotional ecstasy flows uninterrupted. It's nice to meditate upon, isn't it? Hopefully for us, because every time we try and chant japa, we are interrupted by other thoughts, by other things. So to come to the stage of being uninterrupted, just like the Ganges flows, nothing can stop the Ganges flowing. So in the same way, this stage of Dhruvan Smriti, one is flows uninterrupted to the Lord. Now there's an example of this, of Dhruvan Smriti, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's one great mystic, one great sage, Markandeya Rishi, and he's meditating upon Lord Shiva and Parvati. He's deeply absorbed in meditation. I think it's Shiva and Parvati, yeah. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been Krishna, but pretty sure he's that point, he's meditating upon Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva actually manifested and came before Markandeya Rishi, but he couldn't see him. He was lost to the material world. He was completely gone to the external world, and he couldn't even notice Lord Shiva. Another example of this is the great sage that Parikshit Maharaj, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when he asked him for water, this sage who was in meditation, then this sage was in Dhruvan Smriti. He didn't even know the king was present. And those devotees, we know that Leela, that pastime, where then Maharaj Parikshit became offended because he, the king, wasn't waited upon when he asked for water. But the fact is, he was in Dhruvan Smriti, Samadhi, and he didn't even see the king. Yeah. So that's quite a high level of absorption. Again, these are different stages given for the general practice of meditation, but it does relate to chanting as well. Any questions on this? Or any reflections? Or if not, we can. Doing good time. 3:30.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhu.
Please. Who's speaking again? I didn't.
Padmavati.
Padma again, please. Yes, Mother. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, you said 3rd canto, it's Lord Kapiladev. What is the
Yeah.
verse, Prabhu? Do you know?
Sorry?
The verse which you referred to, do you know which verse?
That's what I was apologizing for. I didn't. What I should do is, after the class, I should look it up and I'll send you a WhatsApp message and give you the exact place.
Okay.
Yeah?
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry.
No
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Who's speaking?
It's Anil Sharma.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Prabhuji, very silly question, because I just want a little further clarification on concentration, dharana, and meditation, dhyana. Because dhyana, to my understanding, is concentration, but it's different, I know, but can you please explain? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the difference is just dharana is more deeper. As simple as that. Dharana is more profound and it's more deeper. So dharana is a description of a deeper stage of dharana. When dharana becomes more thick and condensed, then the meditation goes deeper, and that's known as jhana. So the word itself implies deeper, doesn't it? You have someone who's concentrating on something, that's one level, but someone who's in meditation on something, that's another level. Is that clear?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
So,
Thank
so
you.
it's a deeper, you know, you're just going deeper. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your question. Okay, so samadhi, trance. This comes into our next slide. Now, samadhi is to perfection. This is when we look at meditation, where one is completely enclosed in the thoughts of one's object of meditation. Yeah. Now, in devotees' meditation, there's let me just go back. I've missed one note here. There's two levels of meditation. Another two levels, or there's two descriptions of meditation that accomplished devotees are familiar with. And one is mantra parshana mayi, and the other one is shwara sikhi mayi. Now, I describe what these two stages are. This mantra parshana mayi, this is a specific meditation by which one is meditating on a specific, what could say, a specific pastime of Krishna going on in Vrindavan, a particular place, a particular time of the day. Do we follow? One has in mind in one's meditation a particular form of Krishna. Now, this is seen very much in the meditation of Lord Brahma. So, in other words, it's a meditation. It paints a static picture of the Lord, a non-moving form of the Lord. I hope we follow. It's one of the things about Zoom, which I'm learning, is that when you ask questions, then you can't see the reaction of people. Normally when I give seminars, I ask questions and look at devotees' expressions on their faces to see whether they've understood. So if you haven't understood, you have to wave your hand and ask for further clarification. But now we're just going mantra parshana, which means there's a static meditation on the Lord. Now this...
One question.
Yes.
Mantra upasana mai is under samadhi stage? Or
Yes,
is it...
yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is samadhi stage. This is an aspect of samadhi.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to have a bit of a transcendental break here. I'm going to play, hopefully it works and you can hear it. I'm going to play some prayers of the Brahma Samhita of this mantra parshana mayi. So we're going to hear the translations by Admirama Prabhu, I think, no, Maha.
Mahatma.
Yeah, Mahatma Prabhu. So please listen to this. You can enter into meditation here. You can close your eyes and just try and hear this mantra parshana meditation on Krishna from the creator of the universe. So please forgive me because it ends a bit abruptly. It doesn't end so softly, it ends suddenly. But anyway, hopefully you can hear it. So Hare Krishna. Hopefully it works now. All that probably won't work. Okay. Everyone close your eyes and just hear the sound.
Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept at playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head bedecked with peacock's feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moonlight, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shama Sundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, and substantiality, and who is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in itself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
Hare Krishna. Everyone still there?
Yes.
Everyone, hopefully everyone went to the spiritual world. That's why I'm saying, asking, is everyone still there? So that's a beautiful description, isn't it? This is Lord Brahma's mantra Parshana meditation. How did everyone feel about that? Everyone was hearing that? And
yeah, Prabhuji, amazing.
Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What can you say? But beautiful. So then there's the next thing is Swadasiki Mai. This is a different meditation which accomplished devotees can experience. This is wherein one's mind effortlessly flows through a sequence of pastimes. Yeah. For example, I just read, for example, there's a meditation given by Rupa Goswami in what's called the Shri Radha Krishna Stataka Kaliya Leela Smarana Mangala Stotra, quite a title. So he gives an example of Swadasiki meditation. So I just read through this, so it's not accompanied by music, it's just my voice, so sorry about that. But so again, I can try and meditate here if you want. I take shelter of Srimati Radharani. Early in the morning, after bathing, dressing and ornamenting herself, Srimati Radharani accepts an invitation from Krishna's mother, Mavi Yasoda, to cook for him. Along with her girlfriends, Radhika goes to Nandagram to prepare varieties of delicious foodstuffs, after which she eats his remnants and occasionally also gets to meet him in a secluded place. I also take shelter of Krishna. After rising from his bed, he follows a routine of going to the cowshed to milk the cows, taking a bath, and then eating his meal in the company of his friends. I remember Sri Krishna, who in the forenoon goes to the forest along with the cows, accompanied for a distance by Nanda Maharaj, Mavi Yasoda, and other Raj Rasis. Gauda Premanandi, Hare Krishna. So I think you get the idea there. This is known as Swadasiki Mai. So again, for accomplished devotees, this may be their meditation. They're meditating upon the ongoing Leela and pastimes of Krishna. And there's many examples of this given in our scriptures. Actually, in the class this morning, Vamsivat Prabhu was mentioning a particular pastime of Rupa Goswami, who was absorbed in meditation on Krishna's Leela, Pacific Leela, where Radha and Krishna were having a comical exchange. And he broke into laughter upon seeing that Leela in his meditation. And it so happened one sage had come by and wanted audience with Rupa Goswami. It's another part of the story. So he thought he was laughing at him. And that meditation then within Rupa Goswami broke. Now, that we're described in part 2 when it comes to avoiding offenses. But any reflections on that? This is quite a very advanced stage. This is, you'll see it again, other examples. There's examples of one devotee, perhaps devotees out there can remind me of his name, where he was meditating upon the holy pastimes of Radha Krishna, you know, where they throw colors at each other. And this is in his meditation. This is in his japa. He's absorbed. He's gone to the spiritual world, so to speak. And he's seeing this Leela. And when he comes out of his samadhi, he is covered in colors. He's covered in colors from the actual pastime in the spiritual world. There's another pastime with one devotee, he's within his meditation, he's looking for Radha and his ankle bells, the spiritual world. Anyway, so these are all perfections. This is what we're aiming for. This is why we're chanting a holy name. We want to be absorbed in Krishna. And this is what perfection looks like. Any comments on that? Any questions?
Prabhuji, I have a question. Vamsi Dharidas here.
Yes, please, Vamsi.
Prabhuji, in between these two types, which is Mantropasana and Swarasiki,
yes.
Is there any difference? Of course, there is a big difference, but is there any gradation? Because it seems like Mantropasana was also done by Bhishma Dev when Krishna was in front of him, and when Krishna was about to Bhishma, then Bhishma dropped his weapons and he actually meditated on that form of the Lord, and then at the time of death he was remembering exactly the same form of the Lord. So his vision was stuck. That fighting scene.
Continue. Sorry.
And then Swarisiki is you mentioned it is effortlessly mind flows in sequences of pastimes, and then Bhishma Dev is glorifying Radharani and the gopis in that pastime of his in Bhagavatam.
He gives mention of Krishna in his pastimes with the gopis.
The question really in my mind is there any
hello
Hare Krishna?
So is there any gradation, Prabhuji, between these two? Is one of them higher, is another one of them lower?
Good question. Perhaps I have to do some homework to give you an exact answer. But one is more, what's coming to mind, one is more of an accomplished meditation. Rather than the Mantropasana, no doubt from our position, that is a very elevated stage. But the stage where one is meditated upon Leela and the unfolding pastimes, that is more of an accomplished stage. But I have a homework question there. But I want to confirm that. I'm not going to go through the book now. It'd be too much of a distraction. Unless you had any thoughts on that, I think it's more of an accomplished meditation. Anything on that? Is that?
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'll wait for the answer.
Yeah. That's what comes. Anyone out there might be familiar with these two stages can give us some confirmation on that. But I'm pretty sure Swarasiki is more on the accomplished stage. In one sense, if you think about it, it is in one sense because there's the static form. Then you actually meditate upon the pastimes that happen throughout the day. So please, I want to say again, please, devotees, don't get carried away now and tomorrow when you sit down for japa. Try and enter into these deep meditations. We should be inspired to perfect our chanting in the means of chanting with attention. Now, let's go on because we've only got 10 minutes and I don't like to finish past time. I like to finish on time. So let's just back to the different stages. Okay, so we went into remembrance. We left at this stage, Smarandas, and we expanded on and remembrance. Now up, this is different stage that becomes prominent in devotee's life, Apanadas. So the transition from Smarandas is applicable. Apanadas marks the division between the condition and a transcendental state. Do you follow? So this stage one is transcendental to matter. one has become an accomplished transcendentalist. And this takes place only by, again, divine grace. Yeah. So, means that I'm just reading here, it means we no longer meditate on something outside. At this stage, one is no longer meditating on something outside ourselves or conceive ourselves as part of the meditation. It's a direct revelation of the spiritual realm. Do you follow? Apanadas. One is not sit there and then thinking, okay, Krishna's doing his at this time, Krishna's doing that at this time, let me meditate in this way. No, it's coming from above down. If we follow, and it's being revealed. So it's a direct spiritual experience of the spiritual realm. That's why this marks the stage of conditioned to a perfectional stage. So quite an accomplishment, isn't it? Apanadas. So this is the point at which bhava begins. Bhava is one of the highest stages of Krishna conscious practice. One is experiencing deep emotions. At this stage of apanadas, one's original spiritual identity is revealed. Okay? At this stage, one's unique spiritual identity is fully revealed. Who one actually is in the spiritual world. We've had so many millions and millions of bodies, which has nothing to do with our actual spiritual body in this material world. And finally, by the grace of the holy name and the devotees, one may be blessed with this stage where they actually understand who they are in relationship to Krishna. And it's all through the mercy of the holy name. This is what Lord Chaitanya has come to give. He's giving out this means to achieve this. Yeah? So, but as long as, reading from the book here, as long as we remain entrapped in matter, but actually, as long as we remain in, but we're still within the realm of matter. You understand? One may have, these things may be revealed from the spiritual world, but one's still in the material world. So we have to, one's still in the material world, in this place of suffering. The next stage, Sampatidas. I think this picture indicates the next stage. This is Gopakumar. Wonderful story. Wonderful, by Sanatana Goswami. So this, thus the soul can only make its final transition to the stage of Sampatidas upon release from the body. Okay, so you have to die. Okay. One, this is what it's, that's why death for a devotee is considered a great stage in spiritual life. If one has reached a perfection, they're actually being released from the material world and they're going back to the spiritual world. I remember many years back when Kalangana Mataji, she was attending the funeral of Tribhuvanath. I mean, it was at the manor. And of course, everyone's emotional, everyone's crying, and she was wondering why everyone's crying. So, and the reason she's wondering, so why are we crying? We should be so happy for him. He's been released from the material world and he's gone back to the spiritual world. It's a wonderful, joyous occasion. Of course, devotees crying is feeling separation. But anyway, so Sampatidas. Everyone's clear on that? The stage of Apanadas and Sampatidas. Yeah. Now, I'm just going to finish off. We have just 4 slides, and it's simply going to be reading. When I was preparing this, I remembered a wonderful description of chanting by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that I read some time ago, and I was happy to find it again. And he describes his experience of chanting. So there's 4 slides here, which are accompanied by nice pictures of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I'll just bring them up and I'll read through them. So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's experience of chanting. What power does the name of Krishna possess? My heart constantly burns in a fire of worldly desires, just like a desert scorched by the rays of the sun. The holy name entering the core of my heart, through the holes of my ears, showers unparalleled nectar upon my soul. Rivers of tears flow from my eyes. Perspiration completely soaks my body. All my skin thrills with rapture. My hairs stand on end, and my complexion turns pale and discolored. My mind grows faint. I begin to experience devastation, and my entire body is shattered in a flood of ecstatic emotions. As a side, this is Bucknell Thakur, the picture. This is him in his role as a judge, which as a court, as a magistrate. Anyway, continuing. This next picture is of Bucknell Thakur in his later years. While causing such an ecstatic disturbance, the holy name showers liquid nectar on my heart and drowns me in the ocean of divine love of Godhead. He does not allow me to understand anything, for he has made me truly mad by having stolen away my mind and all my resources. Now we have the last slide, and this is, I found this wonderful picture of Bucknell Thakur in his early years as a young man. Just continuing. The holy name is the bud of the flower of divine love and is the very abode of astonishing mellows. Such is the power that Krishna manifests, that when his holy name starts to blossom a little further, it then reveals its own divine form and qualities. Thus my heart is abducted and taken directly to Krishna. Gauda Premanandi Haribo Srila Bucknell Thakur ki jai. Okay, so that's my final slide. It's 5 to 4. Any reflections or any comments? I hope this has inspired devotees to take our chanting more seriously, hearing about the perfections of chanting. But any final questions or reflections?
Can I talk? No.
Yes, please go ahead. Please. I heard a voice out there.
Hare Krishna.
Satnarayan Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please, Hare Krishna.
Go
Yes.
back can you go back to first slide, because Madhvi is taking picture of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. The very first slide to begin with, or
Yes.
you mean this slide?
No. The first slide of
Bucknell Thakur.
yes.
This one?
Yeah. Okay.
This was the first one of Bucknell Thakur. Yeah, this is a wonderful description. I remember reading it many years ago. And I thought, wow, that sounds very nice.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
I like to share. This is about whether chanting with right hand or left hand. I had a problem sometimes ago. I had a problem with chanting with right hand because of arthritis.
Oh, so yeah.
So I asked Bhakti Vidya Swami.
Okay, he's
what shall I
he's
do?
definitely an authority. So his answer was?
So answer was, he said, you cannot chant with your left hand on a tulsi bead, but you chant on a clicker.
Oh, very good, very good. Thank you for that.
With right hand and left hand, no problem.
Okay, so yeah, so thank you for that clarification. Yeah, so there you go, further clarification.
Okay.
So better don't chant on Tulsi Mala with your left hand. Yeah.
Okay. From that experience, I chanted my left hand on a clicker, but I was not tasting my rounds. So that's another problem. So I didn't go back to Maharaj, but I thought, let me try again with my right hand. So I chanted 1 or 2 rounds with my right hand. Right hand was giving problem, but as I started testing the rounds again, So what I did, I'm using ibuprofen gel where I got arthritis,
Yeah.
or mustard oil.
Mm.
And now I am fine, completely fine to chant with my on the right hand.
Wow, I think Krishna's playing games with you.
Yeah, so Krishna gave me intelligence.
You shouldn't, whether we're chanting on beads or the holy name is the holy name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. You've had that experience, so Krishna wants you to chant on beads.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, we have a couple of minutes left, so please.
Yes. Just a quick question. Santosh Mataji here.
Hare Krishna, Mother Santosh. Hare Krishna.
I'd like to ask you about the beads themselves.
Yes.
Some beads, I mean, I know it's important to chant on a tulsi mala, but what if you don't manage to get a tulsi mala and you have a mala which is just ordinary wooden beads?
Chant. Don't worry. In the early days, tulsi wasn't available to devotees, so they would go to bead shops and buy 108 beads made of plastic or whatever. Yeah, main thing is chant. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
No problem.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Padma. Yes.
Yes. Can I please request you to put
That
the
quote.
last two slides.
You want to go back on the last two slides?
Yes. Sorry, Prabhu. Oh, you are drawing them.
That I'm not sure what's going on here because honestly, I'm not touching anything.
That's all right, Prabhu. The
Anyway,
next one.
Must be me. Okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
okay.
that's great. And then the next one, last one. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, as I said, I like to finish on time. I'm sure devotees are very busy. You've got other duties to do, wherever you are. And thank you for listening. It's been exciting for me, first time this type of presentation. I think we had over a number over, I don't know if that number's correct, 80 people. I can't.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
So thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We'll wait for Padma to stop the meeting.
I don't know if you want to make any announcements for, the.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, just a couple of announcements before we sign out. Tomorrow, Bhakti Rasana Sagara Swami at the same time between 4 and 6 is giving another Zoom conference on life without conflicts. So sounds like a good one to tune into if you don't want conflict. So that's tomorrow. Bhakti Rasa Sayana Saga from 4 to 6. And also, please note, Mother Devaki, she's heading up a wonderful japa session for devotees out there in the houses, locked down. From 6 to 7 each evening, you can join, have a Zoom japa, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. There's a japa. So please, if you have the time, please please join.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Prabhu, when I chanting, I get going to see the Leela of Prabhu Krishna, but it takes sometimes too much time. I cannot finish my 16 rounds or 10 rounds, or sometimes it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes to one round. So what to do, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Hare
I wish
Krishna.
I wish I had that problem. What's your name, Prabhu?
Bharat Joshi from Mumbai.
Bala Joshi, what you need to do, Bala Joshi, is just be patient. You should sit with the Vaishnavas. Go to the temple and associate with Vaishnavas and sit with them and chant the holy name.
Yeah, we do on Zoom morning japa, 5:30 to 8:30.
Yeah.
Association of Zoom morning japa session.
Yeah, you need to just chant on the sound. You need to just chant, just hear the sound. Don't want to say the word. Don't try and imagine just try and be familiar with the sound. You want to learn to just hear the sound.
Okay.
Yeah? No, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Again, if anyone has any further questions, now it's gone past 4 o'clock, please just get in touch with me personally and on my phone, my WhatsApp, and we could try and address the questions there. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Big thank you to Murli Manohara Prabhu for his wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Murli Manohara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Murli Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Krishna.